you? If you just found me, welcome. It's a beautiful day in South Florida. Hot. When I say hot, hot and humid. We're enjoying the hot sun with a little bit of mix of rain. And we are covering news stories for you today. I want to welcome you if you're just joining me online and you're new here. I see the Facebook people are checking in. What's up? What's up, Facebook? I see my YouTube family. Walk on, and of course, all across the Voice of the Caribbean app. Welcome. I'm Suzette Speaks. I would call myself a Jamaican princess. I don't know if that's okay to say. Some people get nervous when you say stuff like that in these days. Jamaican American, I guess that's accurate, right? Jamaican, let me fix my YouTube. But yeah, Jamaican American, I would say actually. Jamaican American, there you can hear me. Jamaican American. Love this country. Shout out to the United States and all the opportunities here. And very aware of the political changes and the wind that's blowing all around this country. I want to try to be as neutral as possible when I cover certain news stories, but I also do give you my opinion. That's what I pay me for. Yeah. I like to tell you how I feel, what I think, and what I think is really important to the people in the South Florida community. So if you're new, I'm going to give you the phone line because today's topics, let me tell you, when I start this show, I always come with some topics. I wanted to talk about the lady in New York who stole or took the did you guys see this story? A lady in New York took a New York Knicks colored trash can during the parade last week, and apparently she lost her job over it. It's being reported that a woman who, during the championship celebration, I'm a Spurs fan, so I'm not thinking in terms of that type of preferential feeling at this moment. I'm trying to look at this news story very neutrally. But did the punishment fit the crime? A woman takes the trash can from the street corner. The New York City Sanitation Department had decorated these trash cans in the orange and blue, and then when she took it, dumped out the trash, was caught on videotape, even shown on the subway with that trash can. Well, she has now been fired apparently from JP Morgan Chase, and it has been a terrible, terrible scenario. And I think that is something that we need to look at and wonder if, thank you, if there's some more that is to the story. But if you're just joining me, hi, hello, thank you, Miss Chin, big up Miss Chin. I clicked too fast on the stream yard. Big up everybody watching online. Wagwan, wagwan. Everybody's watching on the Suzette Speaks show right there on YouTube. I want to welcome you again. I call myself half woman, half amazing. I'm best of both worlds. Born in Jamaica, raised here. Very much a Jamaican and very much a South Floridian. So every time I come here, I find it's just so interesting, everything that we can talk about together, get to know one another, and discuss the news of the day. There are so many hot topics that I got to go through today. I want to start with Venezuela. First and foremost, my heart goes out to our brothers and sisters in Venezuela. There was a major earthquake felt, I'm talking about not only in Venezuela, throughout the region. As far away, some people say they felt it in Curacao, right, and surrounding areas and islands, and it was felt hundreds of miles away, excuse me, from the epicenter. According to Yahoo News, Venezuela's earthquake, which again was preceded by, there was an earthquake in California actually, and I know I'm not a geologist. I can't tell you if they're related and if they're on the same, not immediate fault line, but the very, very long fault lines of the Earth's crust that go from the northern hemisphere to the southern hemisphere. But the U.S. Geological Survey has said is a very strong magnitude, is above 7 on the Richter scale. The death toll, unfortunately, is at least 164 people with nearly 1,000 injuries after powerful twin earthquakes, right? So they're calling it twin terrors. So sad. As I'm saying, as reported by Yahoo News just this morning, at least 164 people have been known to have lost their lives and 971 injured in Venezuela after a powerful back-to-back earthquakes rocked the country. Thousands more are feared gone after the magnitude 7.2 earthquake hit about 100 miles west of the capital of Caracas, followed less than a minute later by a magnitude 7.5 tremor. Guys, we don't have one thing in Florida. We can prepare for hurricanes to a certain extent. We can buy our goods, we can get ready, and we can be, ready for all of the, difficulties that come with hurricanes. We have at least a day or two, sometimes much longer, to prepare. but there's no preparation for earthquakes, especially 7.0 magnitude or greater. This is a devastating event that has just occurred in Venezuela. And I'm just, as I was preparing for today's show, I was ready to talk about World Cup. First of all, I'm so proud of Haiti, even though they lost yesterday to Morocco 4-2. The Haitians did score first in that game. And I know several of my friends from South Florida that were in Atlanta, went all the way to Atlanta to watch Team Haiti take on Morocco, even though, like I said, they hadn't advanced, or they were not, or their point total doesn't allow them to advance. They still are finishing the last game of the group phase. Basically, each group has 4 teams, and each team plays each other, and this was their final group stage match in Atlanta, and they did well. Even though, like I said, they ended up losing 4-2 to the Morocco, it was beautiful to watch. It was absolutely beautiful to watch. So I'm grateful to have witnessed Haitian history. And again, so proud of our Haitian brothers and sisters who made a return after, what was it, since 1974, I believe it was, to the World Cup, played valiantly. They play some good football. Yes. Big up Haiti. It's been a joy to watch all of the games. I watched the Brazil versus Scotland. First of all, I'm in love with the Scots. Shout out to the bagpipers. The Scottish takeover continues here in Miami. They've been here all weekend, left Boston, came here through the weekend. Monday, they were at the Marlins game. I don't know if they've ever been to, most said they hadn't been to a soccer match, but they enjoyed the soccer nonetheless. Brought some much needed vibes to the Miami Marlins Stadium and marched down South Beach. I hope they wore their sunblock because the poor, they're not used to this. They're not used to this weather, but the Scots have won over the hearts of so many Americans. If you've watched any social media trends right now is the people from overseas visiting who have loved American culture, hospitality, food, just the different things that go on with our supermarkets, our gas stations, those wonderful new discoveries by people from overseas has been a joy to watch. And we've been also enjoying the football as well. Shout out to everybody watching online. Big up the Stephanie Humphrey channel. Hey, sis, I see you on the Suzette Speaks YouTube. You can follow us on all platforms. The Voice of the Caribbean. I got to get into some politics. Oh, I go on Mike and Mike. Mike and Mike day in the studio, making sure we look good as we broadcast on our YouTube, Voice of the Caribbean YouTube. We on the Facebook, Voice of the Caribbean Facebook. We're everywhere. So no matter where you go, also go to your app store and download the app. It's politics time now because there's been a lot of movement, especially with Frederica Wilson's seat. Hello, somebody. Now, I've talked at length last week. I told you we here at Voice of the Caribbean, we're at a wonderful, we just posted some more pictures on our Instagram page, right? Where you could see more about a forum that we were a part of, myself as a co-moderator at the Urban League of Broward County, helping to discuss with the candidates who are running for Congressional District 20. That's a district. How many days do we have left, guys? August 18th gonna be here before you know it. August 18th is the primary day. August 18th is when we all go out and vote. Some of us do already know some of the candidates and who we're going to vote for, but we got to talk a little bit about, there we go. Let me drink a little water. A little bit about what's going on in Miami-Dade County. As I stated last week, it was all about Broward County and Congressional District 20. We had a wonderful forum at the Urban League of Broward County. Yours truly, Suzette Speaks, was one of the moderators, and I definitely hit them with some hard questions, if I do say so myself. I did. Tried to anyway. And as I did so, with the people, of course, with the voters in mind, wanted to hear where do the candidates really stand on all the key issues. Now, speaking of key issues of the day, I'm going to come back to the earthquakes in Venezuela. Again, major news story right now. Severe damage, loss of life in Venezuela right now, about 100 miles outside of Caracas, the capital. Felt throughout the Caribbean basin. Like I said, there's reports that it's being felt at as far as Curacao. Remember, their team is in the World Cup right now. But with everything going on, it just seems like, news story after news story. We have some top stories, though, that are breaking with respect to, and again, you can call me 850-446-0562, 850-446-0562. You can call me because we have just had the Supreme Court of the United States. Now, I got to break this with you. I haven't had a chance to even read the Supreme Court's opinion because it just happened. We have another news story live from Opchapi. Opchapi is where the alligator Alcatraz, remember what they're calling it, the Florida immigration center that has been under a lot of scrutiny and opposition. Well, it looks like, as I'm watching live here on the Peacock Network while I'm here in the studio, your girl is working, multiple eyes and ears, keeping an eye on the news for you. We have CNN up, we have the Peacock NBC6 up, but there's a press conference going on at Alligator Alcatraz. I'll update you as it unfolds. It's a press conference, look like it's emphasizing with Ron DeSantis, the governor, just having spoken, saying that they're winding down Alligator Alcatraz. I reported that already here, that it seemed as if there was a dispute with how funds were going to be allocated and whether or not the state of Florida was going to be reimbursed funds. So Alligator Alcatraz looked like it was no more. That's what it looked like anyway to the outside observer. We didn't have official word yet, but we are seeing a press conference take place right now. I'm going to give you some updates on that after the break. But I do want to talk about what is going on in Washington, D.C. with Donald Trump. There's two big things happening right now. The cases that the Supreme Court has just released that will affect TPS for Haitians and Syrians, right? So what did the Supreme Court say? Well, according to the NPR affiliate here in South Florida, WLRN, according to their news story posted just at 10:53 this morning, the Supreme Court gave Donald Trump's administration the green light to begin mass deportations of people who have been living and working legally in the United States for years, some even decades. By a 6-3 vote along ideological lines, the court's conservative majority ruled that the president has virtually unrestrained power to end the Temporary Protective Status Program known as TPS. This is breaking news for South Florida and those who are protected by TPS around the country. This just came out. I am literally learning more about it with you because as I was getting ready for my show this morning at about 12 noon, turn on the news and then I saw, wow, TPS is really now something that can be attacked by the president. And the Supreme Court has now ruled that the president of the United States can, and with a kind of unfettered dominion, address TPS any way he or she chooses, right? So according to the NPR news report, in an article titled "Trump Can Begin Deportations of Syrians, Haitian TPS Holders," Supreme Court says, what we're learning is that since the law's enactment, every president, Republican and Democrat, has embraced it, except for Donald Trump. This is according to the article. He, in contrast, is trying to end the temporary protected status of hundreds of thousands of immigrants. And on Thursday, the High Court, the Supreme Court of the United States, gave him the tools to do so. Writing for the court's majority, Justice Samuel Alito wrote that under the TPS law, the president has unreviewable authority to end the program without intervention from the courts. This is what the Supreme Court just released today. This is hot off the presses. This is going to change so many people's lives. Not for the better. A lot of people would argue for the worst. But we're just reporting what has happened. So according to this article in the WLRN, the NPR affiliate here in South Florida, there are more than a dozen countries that have been designated with TPS, that's again temporary protective status, including the two that were mentioned in this case. So the case that went before the Supreme Court involved Haiti with 330,000. That's how many people who have been displaced persons living legally in the United States. 330,000 Haitians who have had temporary protective status to this date. And Syria, who number roughly 3,800. The U.S. State Department currently warns Americans in the strongest terms not to go to either of these countries, to the countries because of their dangers, of course, with regards to, according to the State Department, crime, terrorism, kidnapping, unrest, and limited health care. The court's decision today means that the president can end the protected status of Haitians and Syrians without the possibility of judicial review. Migrants living legally in the United States from those countries will likely revert to what? Illegal status, meaning they will lose their jobs and face deportation, with many of them forced to leave their American born children behind. The Trump administration has attempted to strip TPS from the 13 of the 17 countries that had it before his second term began. As for the remaining 4 countries that still have TPS, which include El Salvador, Lebanon, Sudan, and Ukraine, they may lose their TPS status as well. When they come up for a review, those 4 countries that I mentioned, El Salvador, Lebanon, Sudan, and Ukraine, will have their TPS expire and will come up for a review in the fall. This is major news. Once again, if you're just joining me, this time is now 1:23 here in the Magic City. We didn't even get, I feel like when a news day like today comes up, when the Supreme Court has ruled that Donald Trump and his administration has the unmitigated power to end the TPS program, that the President of the United States, according to the Supreme Court, can end this program anytime they want without any type of overview. I feel like that is the most important story that we need to talk about. If you have an opinion on this new Supreme Court ruling, you can call me 850-446-0562, 850-446-0562. A lot more to come on the TPS status. We also know the United States, speaking of world affairs, World Cup is happening. I had a whole bunch to talk to you with regards to sports because the Miami Heat just traded for Giannis, I hope I'm saying his last name right, Antetokounmpo is coming. The Greek Freak is what he's called, and I mean, that's his nickname. I'm not making that up. Giannis is coming to the Miami Heat. Are you excited? We also have more in sports news that the Team USA will be playing Turkey. That's how they're pronouncing it. There are 2 things that my ignorance, I'm learning so much. I think the World Cup comes also to teach us geography and make sure we stay on top of our geographic changes. Turkey is how I hear them pronouncing Turkey. I'm wondering, that must be how it is pronounced by folks who are from there. So I hear them saying Turkey when they are talking about the country of Turkey. United States takes on Turkey tonight. I think East Coast time, it will come on at 10 p.m. because I think they're playing out west, if I'm not mistaken. So will you be staying up? I probably will. I've been up every night watching all the games. I'm a little bit tired even now, but I will be cheering on Team USA for sure tonight. Have you been enjoying the matches? I think the way the World Cup has been running this year, where everything is not, on top of each other, meaning that there are many matches competing at the same time and you don't know who to watch and you have to turn to one channel and then the other channel. I only had to do that for a couple of games where I had, I think it was Morocco and Haiti going on one screen. And the Stephanie Humphrey channel online, thank you for your comment. She writes on the Suzette Speaks YouTube page, the power the Supreme Court of the United States has given to Trump is unprecedented and unreal! Exclamation mark. The executive, judicial, and legislative branches were established so that no one group or person would wield total power. Thank you, the Stephanie Humphreys channel. That's her opinion. I appreciate you sharing. Shout out to Pastor Damon Blissett. I see you online as well. And everybody else who's watching, whether it's on the YouTube side of Voice of the Caribbean or the YouTube of Voice of the Caribbean page, Suzette Speaks page. Oh, I said YouTube twice. I meant the Facebook side of Voice of the Caribbean, as well as the YouTube page. We are simulcasting. Mikey got me everywhere today. Big up Mikey Mike. Big up Miss Chin. Big up the family. And I'm appreciative of your feedback. If you have an opinion, U.S. Again versus Turkey, are you betting on the boys in blue? Turkey, as they're pronouncing it, Turkey. Are you ready to watch some wonderful football tonight? Again, I was a little bit disappointed with the showing. Oh, no, I actually watched South Africa last night. South Africa could play. Yes, big up South Africa. Great defense. Did they end up winning that game? I think I went to bed before the end of it. But they played now. They were there's some I marveled at a map. I saw this on Instagram, and I don't know, it made me smile. Maybe it'll make you smile. I saw this on Instagram where they were saying, "Oh, no African country has work." Okay, let's see. Oh, sorry. Today, Curacao versus Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire. Ecuador versus Germany in New York. Japan versus Sweden in Dallas. Tunisia versus Netherlands in Kansas City. I didn't even get to the rest of them. Okay, so we got about 6 games today. So if you're loving the football, if you're into the World Cup, if it's making you smile and putting a song in your heart like it is for me, seeing the unity among the peoples of the world, seeing the countries express their pride. Last night, Miami was taken over by the Scots and the Brazilians. You hear me? They're doing the watch party. I didn't go down there at Bayfront Park. They said they had to shut it down because it was too much people in the activation spot at Bayfront, all throughout Miami Beach. Even in Fort Lauderdale, I saw pictures of Scots getting on the what is it? The boats, the tiki hut boats, the boats that look like little tiki huts floating on water. I see men in kilts playing bagpipes on those all the way in Lauderdale. So they've been all over. Shout out to all of the Scots. If you happen to be listening to Voice of the Caribbean, big up yourself. They're really like our cousins in a way because a lot of Scotsmen and Irishmen were sent to the Caribbean, both as indentures, right, and also of folks who were, I guess you would call them acquirers of land. I don't like to say colonizers, but people who came for all kinds of reasons. But after the war with Oliver Cromwell, lots of Scots came throughout the Caribbean, right? So we have a lot of Scottish heritage as well. If you look at the flag too, for those from Jamaica, the Scottish flag and the Jamaican flag look very similar. Just the same structure of the big X, right? And they're the only two flags that look like that, just a difference in colors. So yeah, the Scots getting a lot of love. They had a great time in Boston. And I think because Boston is one of those cities that are so small, and it actually, that's why they call it New England, has the architecture that reminds them of Europe. And it is, again, more condensed. Miami is so spread out. I think it was great that they went to the Marlins game because it's hard to find like one central location where everybody will meet with many millions more people down here than Boston. But they've made a go of it. And even though they lost yesterday, what was it, 3-0 to Brazil? Shout out to, what is his name? Vinicius Jr., Vinny Jr., the Brazilian phenom who has scored in every single match. First of all, let me tell you, some Caribbean people, they love some Brazil, okay? Jamaicans. I guess because Jamaica didn't make it, they out here with Brazil on their chest. We'll be back with more Suzette Speaks right after this.
Attention reggae lovers.
I gotta turn this down because I always get copyright struck. Copyright struck. Hey everybody. Now this is so weird. I gotta fix this camera here because every time I move, I'm further forward on this camera. Can I move it? No. Nope. Too much titty. Sorry. Hey. Nope. Too much titty. Because I push forward every time well, they're gonna have to just get my head, whatever. This camera is not as flexible. When I go to my mic, it's not as flexible. Shout out to this camera. I'm looking crazy. Let me just write a message here. All right, thanks for watching on the Facebook Live. Hey.
I'll get you better cameras next week.
That's all. You hear me talking? Where you hear me talking? Over here? Okay, thanks for watching.
No, it doesn't come over. Somebody hear you?
I don't know. No, it's not coming up
only
here.
when you turn on the microphone, they can hear
No. They can hear me on this. I didn't pause it on the.
No, they can't hear you.
Oh, really?
No.
Okay.
I can hear it. Look, see?
Okay.
The volume goes into this.
Yeah, but don't it look like it's volume moving over there?
The volume moving for the studio, for the commercials.
Okay, but they can't hear me at this
They
time.
can't hear you.
Okay,
They can't hear you.
This is the YouTube, you mean?
That's that going into YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Real live
beautiful.
TV. So that's
Okay.
fixed. So there's only one camera. That camera in front right there. So they
Yeah.
can't.
Okay, no
Remember,
problem.
but when you pause, you have to pause it because they hear the conversation.
Right, they won't
I
hear
fix
it.
that. I'm gonna make sure, double check that I don't hear my conversation.
Okay, no problem.
Make sure.
All right, it's all good. If you do guys hear it, behind the scenes love, all right? I know my YouTube hears it. It's what it's like. It's on live radio, but I just want to make sure. So what else should I talk about, y'all? I want to talk about the TPS.
You see my lips moving, but I can't hear.
They can't hear you. Okay, no
All right.
problem.
So
Just my YouTube is live though. My YouTube.
Oh,
They
your
can't hear-
YouTube.
Yeah, and they're
Okay,
fine.
so
so they can see me.
So next time.
I can mute my YouTube, but I don't mind them hearing.
No, so next time.
Yeah.
Right, we put it in your YouTube also too.
From this?
Yes, we
that's
put the stream in the back.
That's fine. I normally just throw on my YouTube here, but yeah.
So we put it in
either way.
Put it in I'll get to you.
As one of the destinations here.
Yeah,
that's fine.
One of the destination and
driving.
Yeah, no problem.
All right.
So what else should I talk about? Oh, the housing bills. Trump torpedoed the housing bill. That's huge.
TPS.
I just went over TPS. I'm gonna go over it more. The Haitian. Let me read housing. The biggest thing though, housing affordability bill. They were going to pass a bill about creating more housing programs for first-time home buyers. All this stuff bipartisan, and Trump refused to sign it yesterday. So I'm going to talk about it a little bit. Yeah, Trump. But I'll go back into the TPS.
So I'm getting cameras. So one here, and one up here to rotate. Whatever you move.
Yeah, I know, Mikey. You want to get it fancy. Uh-huh. All right.
Just like these fancy microphones.
Me know that. Thank you. My boss, he's crazy. All right, I need to go over this. Trump abruptly cancels signing of bipartisan bill of affordable housing. I have to talk about this. And they got into a screaming match. The president posted signing was off until Senate passes it. So he wants to pass an elections bill until stay informed. But President Donald abruptly he torpedoed is the real language. Let me go back into TPS. Thing is, I don't want to move this camera too much. This camera is really funky. I don't want to move that camera too much, but it is going to be moved. That's all right. Trump. So let me read the TPS from a different article. CNN. Supreme Court lets Trump strip deportation protections. Okay. This is a huge one. Let's go into affordable housing. The thing is, some of these are written so lofty. I'm gonna sneeze, sorry. Oh, excuse me. All right, we're back live. Trump cancels bipartisan housing bill. Here we go. I got a copyright strike just on our commercials, y'all. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. All right, let's go.
The voice of the Caribbean. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, and YouTube.
Yes, we're back. Welcome. It's the Suzette Speaks show. Shout out to everybody listening and watching. We are always here for you on Voice of the Caribbean. Make sure you take us wherever you go. We have an app in the App Store. Did you know that? Whether you're an iPhone or like me, Android, go to the Google Play Store, all right? Check us out, download it, become a part of the community. We love having you here. This is Suzette Speaks. I come to you every Thursday and Friday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. I am your Jamaican princess. Yes, I call myself the best of both worlds. Love to talk news, politics, everything that's going down in our community. I want to talk some politics. I might have to, with all the news that is just developing right now when it comes to Haitian brothers and sisters, when it comes to the TPS and how the Supreme Court has just ruled that Donald Trump can remove TPS. We need to talk about that today. I also want to get into the Trump refusing to sign a bipartisan housing bill. Listen to me. President Trump yesterday was given a bill that both his party, the Republicans, and the Democrats agreed on, and Trump declines now to sign it because he wants to get the voting, so-called voting protection bill instead. People don't have passports, right? 50% of American people don't have passports. He's in his bill for voting. Remember, the states govern voting. Voting is supposed to be, an election is supposed to be handled by the states, right? Most of us have, wherever we live, and even if you're not in Florida, where we are, Voice of the Caribbean, located here in Miami, but you have a supervisor of elections of some sort where you live, and that has been handled on the state level. Well, Mr. Trump now wants it to be handled on a federal level, but there's a reason our constitutional founders, our founding fathers, did not want that type of power with the national government. Anyway, I got to get into the housing bill that Trump refuses to sign. It was going to make housing stocks go up, meaning more houses available, because right now they're saying in the United States, we are probably about 5 million houses short from the demand. You have all these boomers sitting in houses, but they can't sell them because the millennials, the Gen Zs, and the Gen Alphas don't have the money to buy it from them. So what ends up happening? The corporations buy it, right? The investment banks buy it, right? These people with these large investment firms are buying up all the housing stock and then renting it back to you, all the houses that are available to be sold. So we're looking at why is Donald Trump torpedoing his party's own housing bill. We're going to talk about it right now. I also want to get back into the TPS. It's really important for our Haitian brothers and sisters and for all of us who are in the South Florida community who care about our neighbors to understand what the Supreme Court just did. The Supreme Court of the United States just released two pertaining to immigration. They have released several decisions just this morning, but two that are critical to our community when it comes to TPS and people being able to live in the United States legally under temporary protective status. Also wanted to acknowledge this horrible, devastating earthquake, dual earthquake in Venezuela. It's being reported that at least 164 people have lost their lives due to these earthquakes that just happened in Venezuela. I know the United States, according to Secretary of State Marco Rubio, will be sending support and rescue mission personnel to help. I see already there are several centers throughout Miami collecting all kinds of food. If you see the Venezuelan earthquake videos, it's quite disturbing. Why? Because it looks like so many of the buildings. Remember, this was a 7.2 category 7.2 earthquake, followed within a minute by another 7.5 earthquake. They're calling it twin tremors, hitting Venezuela, being felt across the Caribbean basin as far as Curacao, hundreds of miles from where the epicenter was. People felt it all around the region. And the U.S. is pledging to send humanitarian aid to Venezuela. Remember, Venezuela is where we got the people would call it, some are calling it the kidnapping of Nicolas Maduro. Remember that? Remember whatever happened to Nicolas Maduro? Remember we snatched him and the wife up and they went to the presidential palace with helicopters and the Black Hawks and took that man out of his presidential palace and brought him to New York. Whatever happened to this? So many news stories. It's like we just start talking back about the lady who was missing in Arizona, Savannah Guthrie's mom. What happened to Nancy Guthrie? We have to anyway. Put a pin in it. Put a pin in it because I'm still worried about what's happening in Venezuela. Right? U.S. is now pledging again to send humanitarian aid to Venezuela. We see, and I will report them as soon as I have them, a lot of collection sites popping up already throughout Miami and Fort Lauderdale. There is a large Venezuelan community here in South Florida. So we're looking at how we can help, of course, this devastated region already, by the embargoes and the change in their president due to the United States. Lots more I can say about Venezuela, but our hearts and minds are with the people right now. If you look at the devastation, the buildings crumbled. I'm sure there's a lot of people still underneath that rubble, God forbid. We are hopeful that they will find people and be able to rescue them as well, right? So our hearts and our minds go out to the people of Venezuela. I want to talk about what happened with the housing bill because, again, with everything that's happening, the TPS decision, we are getting news so rapidly. It's all right. I'm here to help break it down. Welcome. If you're just joining me, the time is now 1:40. I'm Suzette Speaks, your hostess with the mostest. I come to you live right here on Voice of the Caribbean Radio, right? Every Thursday and Friday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. I talk news you can use, politics, hot topics, social media trends, you name it. Try to break down the news for you with some interesting perspective. And there's so much I came ready to talk about. And then we had the earthquake news. Then we had the TPS news. And again, if you're just joining me and you don't know what I'm talking about, the Supreme Court has released several major decisions today. And according to CBSNews.com, in an article entitled Supreme Court Lets Trump Strip Deportation Protections from Syrians and Haitians, published and written by Melissa Quinn, just at 11:55 today, reporting from Washington, D.C., the Supreme Court on Thursday today said that the Trump administration can move forward with its efforts to strip more than 356,000 Syrian and Haitian immigrants of temporary protections that have allowed them to live and work in the United States. According to CBSNews.com, in a pair of cases that tested a key aspect of President Trump's plan to crack down on immigration, a divided Supreme Court ruled that the TPS law, listen to this, the TPS law itself bars judicial review of claims brought under the federal law. What does this mean? Well, how did we get here? The dispute arose out of the Department of Homeland Security's decision to end temporary protective status for more than 6,000 Syrians and 350,000 Haitians. Lower court judges had postponed the terminations of the program, but the Supreme Court reversed those rulings in this new decision coming out today, saying in a 6-3 decision, that's 9 members of the Supreme Court, 6 agreed and 3 dissented. I could probably guess along ideological lines who voted for what. But in a 6-3 decision, they released this new decision today. Breaking news, hot off the press. You got to keep it tuned, keep it locked right here. Well, now the decision now is that immigrants from Syria and Haiti are not entitled to sorry. Let me back that up. Sorry, Suzette Suzette speaking, y'all. This is a Suzette Speaks show. Sorry, excuse me. This is what it was saying in CBS News in a 6-3 decision that immigrants from Syria and Haiti are not entitled to judicial orders postponing the terminations of their temporary deportation protections. Listen, they cannot use the courts any longer. This is and I have to read the full opinion. I'm learning about this at the same time as you are. The decision by the Supreme Court was just made today. And again, I don't practice immigration law. I practice personal injury and medical malpractice law. If you ever find yourself injured, where you're on the job, when you're driving in a car accident or at work, or if somebody that you know and love has been unfortunately mishandled in a medical setting where something went dire and wrong with their health due to, you believe, inappropriate health care, call me anytime. Suzette Speaks. Follow me on any platform, DM me anytime, because these are serious matters. But anyway, I don't practice immigration law, so I don't know the TPS law like the back of my hand. I don't practice it on a daily basis. But in this new decision that the Supreme Court of the United States has now rendered, it is saying that according to the TPS law itself, immigrants from Syria and Haiti are not entitled to judicial orders, meaning they cannot get the courts any longer to stop it. They are not entitled to judicial orders postponing the terminations of their temporary deportation protections. Guys, in this ruling, let me just keep reading on cbsnews.com. It's saying, quote, the TPS statutes plainly bars consideration of respondents' non-constitutional claims, says Justice Samuel Alito. This is him writing for the majority. The rules restricting the ability of immigrants and immigrants' rights groups to sue the government over TPS determinations and allege it violated federal law when it terminated the program. Listen again. So what it's saying is, they're not saying the program is illegal. They're saying that immigrants or immigrants' rights groups don't have, according to the way the law is written, the right of judicial review. Now, again, as a practitioner of the law, one thing I know about the rule of law is the way the framers set up this constitutional republic is that we have a law and we have an enforcement of the law, we have the writers of the law, and then we have the interpreters of the law. The writers of the law, that's the Congress, right? The legislative branch of the United States government, the United States House of Representatives, the House of the People, that have 435 members across the nation based on population. And then the United States Senate. This is the more kind of the big brother of the two chambers, 2 per state. No matter if you're Rhode Island and you're a baby state with a few people, or if you're California, one of the largest states and the GDP of some small countries, you get the same 2 senators. And when those 2 bodies agree, you have law. Signed by the president, you have law. So as I'm reading this is really, really, really disturbing in a lot of circles, not just in the immigration law circle. I'm going to have some experts come in and talk more about this because this is, again, disturbing. How do you feel about it? Have you been keeping up with The new Supreme Court developments. The new Supreme Court development is what? The ruling restricts the ability of the immigrants and immigrants' right groups to sue the government over TPS determination and allege it violated federal law when it terminated the program. The court's conservative majority also said that the plaintiffs from Haiti are unlikely to succeed in arguing that the Trump administration violated the Constitution's guarantee of equal protection because it was motivated by race. Statements from Mr. Trump, according to CBSNews.com, and former Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem expressed policy views that could rest on race-neutral justification. So remember this now. This is why the Haitians and the Haitian advocates say that this policy was not race-neutral. Do you remember? Do you remember that they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs? You remember them said that? Them eating the cats, they're eating the dogs? We have to be careful because we remember these comments that were made. And we know that came from Mr. Trump during a debate with Vice President Kamala Harris, and there was a shock wave across this country when we heard those allegations. So there is this idea by many immigrants as well as immigrant rights groups that there was some sort of racial animus and racial difficulties that were a part of this decision that should not have been a part of this decision. But now the Supreme Court is given a green light to President Trump to end TPS without any further judicial review because they have stated, and I have not read the entire opinion. It is really, really, really disturbing. Now I'm gonna bring on, thankfully she's available. I'm gonna bring on our resident. Thank God I get some backup here because the TPS decision has been rocking our community here in South Florida. And I'm going to ask, and she's just called in. Thank you. Miss Opal Lee is on the line with us. Good afternoon, Miss Lee. How are you?
Good afternoon, Suzette. I'm doing wonderful, and thanks for having me on your program.
Absolutely. Tell us the latest with the Supreme Court ruling as it relates to temporary protective status. I know many in our Haitian community are very, very concerned, and we want to know what this all means. Can you break it down for us?
Well, yes, in a nutshell, remember that the Trump administration had wanted to end TPS, which is temporary protective status. And so the people, the immigrants, got a little bit of sigh of relief when the judge had put an injunction on it. Remember, it was supposed to end February 3rd. So there was a little bit of, a relief. Well, now today, June 25, the Supreme Court has vacated that injunction against the termination. So basically, the Trump administration can go ahead now, terminate TPS for the Haitians and Syrians. What we don't know right now is if you already have a work permit, if it's just going to be automatically canceled. My guess, and as immigration practitioners, we're all just unraveling everything right now because some people were able to renew their work permit based on the brief victory, if I may say so, that we had. So a lot of people were able to renew their work permits. They had went out, they renewed their driver's license, but now essentially it's ended. And the thing is this, that a lot of people now are worried, very much worried, because especially if they had a removal order before, or remember, when you apply for TPS, temporary protected status, you've disclosed your information. They know where you live, where you are, where you work. So if they want to right now, we could be speaking right now, and ICE could be going out and carrying out removal proceedings or going ahead and arresting these people. So it is a time to be worried. I mean, I hate.
I'm nervous, Miss Lee. Again, wow. We're here breaking it down, guys. As if you're just joining us, time check 1:51 in the afternoon in beautiful Miami, Florida. This is Suzette Speaks on Voice of the Caribbean with special guest, the one and only one of my co-hosts here on Voice of the Caribbean, Miss Opal Lee of Flow Jam Legal. She helps people with immigration issues, among divorce as well as personal injury issues. She's here as our immigration expert. I'm grateful she had the time today to just call in and give us a quick update because this is a revolutionary decision by the Trump administration. This decision could have consequences for the more than 1 million immigrants from 17 countries that received TPS because of wars. Remember why they're here. They came because of natural disasters, right? And other extraordinary conditions. But the Trump administration has been moving to rescind or take away, according to CBS.com, the legal protections for immigrants from 13 of those 17 countries, putting them at risk of losing their, what Miss Lee is talking about, work authorizations, and putting them at risk of arrest and removal. So we are in a very, very unique position now that the Supreme Court has placed all of these folks who have come through legal means to the United States. And as Ms. Lee just described, they had legal status up until February when it expired. It had been given a stay, or what we call a reprieve. She and I, sisters-in-law, so we might use some legal language, but we're just going to try to break it down for you. So what can we expect, Ms. Lee? Do you think that, as you're saying, that this type of action by the Supreme Court allowing the Trump administration now to remove TPS without any court hearing, that part makes me a little bit nervous. Do you have an opinion on that? Is this the right outcome that the Supreme Court has come to, that no hearing should be granted or judicial review should be needed any further for anybody who is the immigrant or immigrants' right group who is saying that the TPS should be allowed, that they should not have any further judicial review? What are your thoughts on that part of the ruling?
Listen, this is, in my opinion, respectfully, I don't agree with this decision. But you know what? If it's the Supreme Court, right, it's the highest court. And so, if, whatever they say goes. And that's why we have to be very careful when we're going to the polls and whatever it is, because we're electing them for life, Suzette, as you know.
Yes.
So they get to make the laws, and what they say actually goes. So no, I believe that, they should have at least be heard. But
it is what it is. The Supreme Court, like you said, is the top court in the land. So their word is final. So if any of our listeners, before I let you go, is listening and they have TPS or they have a family member with TPS, as you said, just to fill out the TPS form, you had to give out your personal information, who you live with, how much you make, or who's sponsoring you, and these kind of informations. So what can the people who are either the loved one of somebody who has had TPS or has currently TPS status, what should they do? Should they contact someone like yourself, or do we still have to kind of wait and see?
They should definitely contact to see their options. Some people, I've been saying before, they could have went ahead and transformed from just a TPS into another category. For example, some people, they could have applied for asylum. Usually to file for asylum, you need to do this within 1 year of entering the United States. Some people had traveled on a re-entry permit, and then once they re-enter, they now have an admission where if, for example, they're married to a U.S. citizen or have a child who is at least 21 years old or over, they could have gone ahead and adjust their status to get a green card. And so, one of the arguments real quickly, Suzette, what a lot of people are making, or what the Trump administration is making, is TPS is supposed to be temporary protective status. And what they're saying is that people who have been on this for like over 10 years, maybe from the earthquake that happened in Haiti, and a lot of people did not do anything to move away from the TPS standard or from the TPS category. They never tried to go ahead and adjust or consult with an attorney like myself or any attorney of their choosing to weigh the options. And so what they're arguing is that what is supposed to be temporary is becoming like permanent because they keep renewing it.
Okay.
I got argument, but I'm saying that's their argument. So people have been on TPS for 10 years, 13 years, right? And so they're saying, okay.
I understand you. So,
there's still a need for it because Haiti is still not safe.
A lot of countries still not safe. Yeah.
Okay.
So how can they contact you, Miss Opal Lee? Thank you for calling into the Suzette Speaks show and lending us your expertise. We are getting this hot off the press. The Supreme Court has just ruled that the Trump administration no longer has to seek judicial review in order to terminate TPS, affecting over 350,000 Syrians and Haitians. And again, as Ms. Lee said, you do have options. Do not lose heart, right? You can change into other status or apply for other status. And real quick, Miss Lee, how can people reach you, or where can they go to find more information about your law office?
Sure. So the best way is just to visit our website, because on there you will see our address, phone numbers, etc. And the website is www.flowjamlegal.com. That's FLOJAM legal.com. Or just call us at 954-358-2020. Zed, keep up the good work.
Awesome. Thank you, Miss Upper Lee, calling in. I appreciate your expertise. Listen, she knows immigration. So if you do have questions, like I said, she can be a wonderful resource to you and for the community. We appreciate, again, Miss Opali of Flow Jam Legal for calling. I have a few more minutes here. Remember, United States takes on Turkey tonight. Are you going to be watching? There are several other group stage games going on in the World Cup. Have you been enjoying it? Again, I have to mix the heavy news with the lighter news. Of course, the Venezuelan earthquake is the top headline. Our hearts and minds are with our brothers and sisters in Venezuela who have just experienced a dual earthquakes, two back-to-back earthquakes over 7.2 on the Richter scale. One struck, and then a minute later, the stronger one struck again. The buildings are in disrepair. The United States is sending humanitarian aid as we speak. And there are places all throughout, I'm almost out of time, y'all, so all throughout South Florida. You can start to look it up. I'll bring you some more information tomorrow on the Suzette Speaks show, so you can know if you want to donate or how you can help. I know this is all hands on deck. This is a devastating occurrence in our region, and our hearts and minds are with the people of Venezuela. All right, so there's so many parts of this story that we're going to continue to cover. The TPS, the Supreme Court has now allowed, or has now ruled, that the Trump administration can remove TPS without further judicial oversight from hundreds of thousands of folks who have been here in the temporary protective status program. We're almost out of time, y'all. We'll continue to talk about it. I have not even gotten to the main thing I wanted to talk about. Trump yesterday had a bill signing planned and then canceled it abruptly. Trump, according to CBS News, cancels a bipartisan housing bill signing, reiterates his demand for the Save America Act, which is the voting act he wants to pass, and said this was supposed to make housing cheaper, more affordable, more plentiful for working people, minorities, everyone, and he did not sign the bill. I have to get more into it tomorrow, y'all. I'm almost out of time. I appreciate you guys listening. The Suzette Speaks show comes to you live right here on the Voice of the Caribbean every Thursday and Friday. Tomorrow's my favorite day, Fire Friday. From 1 p.m. to 2 p.m., we talk hot topics, social media trends, and, of course, news you can use. We try to break down all the headlines for you. I also want to get into some of the congressional districts. Hello, somebody. The congressional districts. Frederica, the retiring Congresswoman Frederica Wilson's seat is getting hot in here. We're talking about who's running and why and who got her endorsement. I'll leave you with that. Thank you for listening. Stay locked right here on Voice of the Caribbean Radio for more.
Caribbean, better sounding radio.
W245BC, Lauderdale Lakes, 96.9 FM, the all-new Voice of the Caribbean.
WLYF, 101.5 FM, HD2 Miami. Simulcasting on 96.9 FM.
I didn't even plug.
The Voice of the Caribbean. WLYF, HD2 Miami.
I didn't even plug in my
101.5 HD2.
Have a good day. Thanks for watching.
Attention reggae lovers, the Voice